was the philosopher Cornel West who once stated that you can't truly lead the people unless you love the people. You can't save the people unless you serve the people. In a real sense, the movement to end mass incarceration is tethered, truly dependent upon our ability to maintain proximity to the people directly impacted by this moral scar in our country. In a world where the carceral state seeks to isolate and confine the human personality, our choice to be proximate in community is a radical, revolutionary act. We live in a nation that builds its strength by othering and dominating the least of these, those whom Howard Thurman would call people whose backs are against the wall. And the call for proximity is truly a call to actualize what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. identified as the beloved world community. Our ministry of presence matters. On any given day, there are 10,000 children warehoused in adult jails and prisons across the length and breadth of this country, waiting to be seen and heard by a beloved community. These children should remind us that we are better than our best or our worst moments. And I'm speaking of this not only in moral and ethical terms, but also in personal terms. As a child of Dynamite Hill in Birmingham, Alabama, I am here because someone chose to be proximate to me. We are all a consequence of someone choosing to be proximate to our lives. And so in the movement to end mass incarceration, yes, direct action and advocacy is key to what we do. But the ministry of presence and the choice to be proximate is a revolutionary act that we can all participate in this world. Within the context of mass incarceration, proximity has various forms. First, we think about the families. Families are scrambling to think about how they can best support their loved ones who are incarcerated. That can look like healthcare needs, educational needs, communication needs, to make sure that they can remain in connection with their loved ones outside. There are ways that faith communities can interject and support these families as they seek to maintain some connection, but also looking at returning citizens. Previously, the Multifaith Initiative to End Mass Incarceration has partnered with the National Incarceration Association to provide housing and educational and job resources for women that are returning back to our neighborhoods. This has been critically important as women are coming back to a country and to a community after decades of incarceration, seeking to establish a life in a strange new land. And so our ministry of presence through the family, through incarcerated citizens who are returning to our neighborhoods is so critically important as we seek to actualize this beloved community and to end this moral scar of mass incarceration. The question has been raised, how do I gain proximity to people whose experiences are radically different from mine? Well, the first thing I would suggest is build a community that can help you do that, an architecture of listening. You shouldn't just enter a neighborhood that you have no experience in, but rather think about the networks, the organizations, the institutions that have committed themselves to doing some positive social impact as it relates to this work. Of course, we have the Multifaith Initiative to End Mass Incarceration. There are partners across the length and breadth of this country that are doing some tremendous work, such as the Georgia Justice Organization, the Southern Center for Human Rights, Live Free, as well as several others. Look for communities that have what Catholic theologians might call an epistemic advantage, meaning those who are closest to the disaster or closest to the challenge have a better idea and sense of the needs that the community may have. And so think about the ways that we can build collaborative networks. No one person, organization, or institution or faith tradition has all the answers. That really is the genius of a multi-faith initiative, bringing together a variety of voices and experiences to think about how we can use our collective power to end this crisis. So what can you do? Well, first, look at what you already have. Think about your faith community. Reach out to your pastor, reach out to your imam, reach out to your rabbi, and demonstrate some affirmative leadership. Create a prison organization or ministry. Think about how laypersons within your congregation or your community can organize uh, visits, can organize conversations, town halls, to better understand the crisis and better gain a sense of how you can make an intervention, how you can make a contribution to ending this crisis. We all have our own resources. Think about where you are and how you can meet others at the point of their needs. So we all have block clubs. We have fraternities and sororities. We have alumni associations from our colleges and universities. Some of us may just have our uh, basketball teams that we meet up with once or twice a week that we build community with. These are all the perfect places to start your advocacy, to start your education, and to start building a beloved community that builds proximity to the most vulnerable among us. It's critical for us to realize that this isn't a moment, but it truly is a movement. In your time and in your space, you can make a difference. You don't need to lead a national organization, but your community has the ability and the power to make an impact in ending mass incarceration. You can do things like letter writing campaigns to incarcerated citizens, to give them a sense of community, to let them know that there's somebody on the outside thinking of you. But don't stop there. Write letters to your members of Congress. Let them know that you are morally outraged with the state of mass incarceration in our country. A country that represents 5% of the world's population is the prison capital of the world, boasting 25% of the world's prisoners. It's egregious, and your moral outrage needs to be heard in the public square. You can also organize mutual aid funds that support families that are sending money to place on the commissary of their loved ones. These are all critical aspects, and nothing is too small, nothing is too big, as we're all working together to end this crisis.